Hi, it's great to have you on Your Career Podcast. I'm Jane Jackson, and thank you for listening. If you're a new listener, why not subscribe to this podcast so you're the first to listen to each new episode that'll provide inspiration in your career? Just go to iTunes or Stitcher Radio if you use an Android device and click subscribe. I've also a free Kickstart Your Career audio course that you can find on my Facebook page at facebook.com/Jane Career Coach. See you there.
Welcome to Jane Jackson Careers, a podcast that takes your career to the next level. Here's your host, Jane Jackson, author of Amazon Careers bestseller, Navigating Career Crossroads.
Well, hello and welcome back to my Careers Podcast. Now, today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different because I was recently interviewed on 2UE Talking Lifestyle Second Career by Matthew Tukaki on mature age workers and those who are thinking of making a change later on in life. So this is a chat between Matthew and myself about how you can actually secure a job if you are a mature age worker and what you need to think about in order to be able to reinvent your career. So enjoy.
This podcast thanks to OFX, the experts in global money transfer. Transfer funds 24/7 with no hidden fees. The smart money's on the smart move. Go to OFX.com.
Embarking on a second career can be confronting for a lot of Australians, particularly when you've reached what we call mature age status. Yes, Australia, I am of course talking about our 50-ups, or if you listen to some recruiters, we're now getting older when we're 40, which is just complete nonsense. Well, joining me to talk about the 5 things you need to know about embarking on a second career is my resident career coach guru, Jane Jackson. Jane, welcome.
Thank you so much, Matthew. Always a pleasure.
You know, it is, I don't know about you, but I find it pretty ironic that we talk about people who are 50 up being in the mature age working group, but now you've got some recruiters thinking, well, if you're 40, you're over the bridge. You know, it's just stupid, isn't it?
Yes, 40 is the new 50 now, isn't it?
Well, I know I say that when it comes to my looks. It might be in the reverse, but I mean, it is crazy. I mean, we've got a massive experienced workforce of mature-aged Australians out there, and yet sometimes we've got these younger recruiters who just want to throw them on the heap.
I think it's such a shame because mature-age workers have got so much to offer, and it's not as if they've had 1 year of experience repeated 30 times. It's really 20 or 30 years of experience, and there's a lot of wisdom there that you can really tap into. And unfortunately, people, if they assume that they're too old, they'll start to act that they're too old. And as long as you stay up to speed with the new ways of doing things, there's no reason why you can't continue to work for as long as really you're able.
Well, that's right. Now, you've come up with a list of 5 things, just 5 basic things we all need to know about embarking on a second career. Top of the list is make a list of all the things you do that count as work experience. Now, this is obviously built around mature-aged workers. Now, that work experience is really key, isn't it? Because there might be some things that we do extracurricularly. For example, a lot of mature-aged workers, they'll sit on boards of not-for-profits and things like that. So I guess it is important to put that experience down.
Yeah, and definitely to include how effective your networks are, because that's the benefit of experience and being more mature, because you've been in the workforce for many years. You may have changed industries and job functions a number of times, and you will have expanded your network. And so if you are able to tap into that as part of your work, it would be really useful. And certainly, as you say, if you've been on a board and you've been in leadership roles, what great experience that is.
Absolutely. Well, let's go to number 2 on the hit list. Think about what you really want to do next and put that down as your prime focus. And I guess when we get a little bit older and we've got all that experience under the belt, the next best thing is to have a look at focusing in on what we really want to do, right?
Yes, because often, as time goes on, you start to think about, what am I doing and why am I doing it? Think about what really drives you. And I found that a lot of my clients, as they get that little bit older, they've got the experience under their belt, maybe financially they're getting a little bit more stable as well. They want more purpose-driven work, something that they know will leave a legacy or really make a difference to other people also.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned this before, but number 3, networking is power. I mean, as we get older, we've built pretty strong networks, but we don't necessarily know how to harness them.
Exactly. You sometimes you just lose touch with people. You know, they're part of your network and then you don't speak for a while. And you know, when someone is looking for another role or they're exploring, they think, oh, I wish I'd kept in touch with my network. So don't wait until you actually need people before you reach out to them. Keep in touch with people constantly because you're developing relationships. And even if you haven't been in touch for a while, just reach out and ask people, hey, how are you going? Without having to ask for something. And then later on down the track, when you really need to ask for some advice or guidance, it won't be that awkward to reach out to them again.
Absolutely. And I guess the other thing too is that plays into number 4, reaching out to that network to take advantage of it, because a lot of jobs or a lot of second careers will come from people who might be the next door neighbour, they might be a fellow board member, you know, they might even be in your LinkedIn network.
Yeah, you know what was interesting? One of my clients told me, she said she'd gone through a redundancy and she was looking for another role, and she just happened to be out in her garden one day having a chat with a neighbour. And the neighbour said, hey, how come you're home this afternoon? You know, shouldn't you be at work? Because she wasn't sick. And so she explained what was going on, and her neighbour knew the line of work that she was in. And she goes, you know, just last week I heard about this role that might be coming open. Do you want me, you know, to find out more about it? And because it was in financial services, which is where my client works as well, she goes, sure, you know, fine, let me know. And as it turned out, she ended up getting an interview through her neighbour. And it was so unexpected because she was just out in the garden watering the plants.
There you go. There's a lot to be said for being out in the garden washing those plants. Number 5, which is pretty straightforward, it is the art of the resume. And I guess that bit of advice, listeners, always hangs around making sure that you focus the resume on the job you're actually applying for. Do not be tempted to take the scattergun approach where you use the same resume to apply for 100 different jobs and then sit back, Jane, and wonder why you got rejected.
Yeah, well, most people tend to have the one resume and they think, okay, that's it. And it's a PDF and then they can't change it and then they send it off. And honestly, it's like going to the black hole of the cyberspace.
Yeah.
But what you need to do is think about your resume. And what it is it's a synopsis of your career highlights that's relevant to the reader that you're targeting. That's all. It's marketing material. You don't want to have a long dissertation of 4 or 5 pages, 1 to 2 pages max. And you've got to capture the attention of the reader and have your resume solve their immediate problem.
See, I think
it'll be screened in.
I think you were being polite saying dissertation. I'd rather go, you know, stay away from the chapter and verse 3-part miniseries Gone with the Wind sequel, listeners. You know, keep it simple, Sam, is the concept. The KISS principle. Those 5 things once more from Jane Jackson. Make a list of all the things you do that count as work experience. Number 2, think about what you really want to do next and put that down as your prime focus. Number 3, networking is power. Your second career could come from the next door neighbour out in the garden watering the plants. Number 4, the reach out. Don't be afraid to say to somebody in your network, hey, look, I'm looking for something new. What have you got? What do you know? And then number 5, of course, the art of the resume. Keep it focused. Do not scattergun your approach. Now, of course, if you want more insights from Jane, then head to janejacksoncoach.com. She's also got a fantastic podcast that you can listen to and tune in. Jane Jackson, always great having you on the show.
And it's always wonderful talking to you, Matthew. Thanks so much.
If you'd like to find out how coaching can help you, visit janejacksoncoach.com, where not only will you be able to listen to other fascinating interviews from professionals who've made amazing career changes, you'll also be able to download some free ebooks and guides on how to manage your career effectively.
You've been listening to Jane Jackson Careers. Sign up to receive regular career advice at janejacksoncoach.com.